Greetings! It is I, Tantus Van Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on D20 Modern, the modern take on 3rd edition of Dungeons & Dragons. When we last left off, we were talking about the special attacks you can do in combat. Let's continue where we left off. Of course, we're moving in from one last time we were talking about disarming, knocking something out of someone's hand, into grappling this time. So there is a step in between grabbing something away from someone, sort of an in-between step. This actually functions almost exactly like the disarm check, except for a couple of rules. I'm trying to basically pull like a piece of jewelry or a piece of clothing off of someone. First off, if the person gets an attack of opportunity against me and deals me damage, I can't make my check. I've failed. So the attack of opportunity against me cancels out my attempt to grab something away from them right away. That's the first thing. Now, next up is we have to look at how secured this thing is, because this will modify the rolls. If it's really well secured on someone, it'll be +4 to his side of it, so it makes it more difficult for me to grab it away. While if it's very loosely secured, I get +4 then to grab it away. So the difference in how well it's secured on someone's body, going to make a difference on how well it can be pulled away. Now, the last thing is, if I fail to grab it away, they don't get an attempt to grab something from me. So unlike with the disarm, where if I, was trying to disarm using a weapon, they could try to disarm me back. Nah, it doesn't work this way. Now, let's move on and start talking about the grapple. Because the grapple is attempting to wrestle and control someone and sort of keep them immobile or pin them in position. It's trying to keep someone under your control, trying to keep them from moving around. There are 3 steps to a grapple. First off is the actual grab, getting a hold of someone, getting them in your hands. That's the first thing you have to do. And if you fail to do that, you can't do any of the other steps. The second, of course, is holding on. Once I've actually grabbed them, I got to hold on to them. This is going to be involving my main amounts of checks to kind of hold them in place, in which I cannot hold anything over 2 size categories larger than me. That means it has to be at most 2 size categories larger than me for me to actually get a hold of it. Other than that, nah, it's way too big. Now, the last part, of course, is the ultimate goal of grappling, the pin, that you knock someone immobile. This is the final thing you're going to do, is push someone down, get them immobile, get them not bothering with you, get them into the position you want them to be in. Now, let me note, there are a couple of actions you can do on the hold side, which are different than just sort of grabbing onto other things like dealing damage to the target with like a punch or something. Now, everything is going to revolve around a grapple check. The grapple check is a special check you're going to roll that it is very similar to attack. You add your base attack plus your strength plus the special grapple modifier. The grapple modifier is based upon my size. The bigger I am, the more of a grapple modifier I are. The smaller, the less. Now, if you should happen to have multiple attacks, those are multiple grapple attempts. Traditionally, most of the actions you can use when grappling allow you to use your iterative attacks that you normally would be able to. You can keep attempting with each attack, but you get that minus for your change in base attack. So maybe I start my attack with my first attack. Maybe I start with my second one. If I do, I have that -5 from the iterative base attack. But, as I'm saying, if you have multiple attacks, that's multiple attempts to start a grapple. So there's a number of steps, as I talked about. The first thing that's going to occur, though, is I'm starting a grapple. My opponent gets an attack of opportunity against me. They get an attempt to smack me. Now, if they deal me damage with that attack of opportunity, hit me, deal me damage, I can't grapple. They canceled it out. Now, on the other hand, if they hit me but deal no damage, I can still try to grapple them. Or if they miss, I can still try to grapple. Next part is, I have to touch them. I have to get that grab. It's going to be a melee touch attack I'm going to make against my opponent to grab a hold of them. After that, I can attempt to get that hold. That's my time for making a grapple check. This is the point that we make our opposed grapple checks to see who can maintain what's going on here. I've grabbed them. Can I keep a hold of them? I could possibly do things like getting my free unarmed damage at this point in time as part of this check, but that's all that's going to be determined. Is I'm getting the grappling in, and this is going to be a free action as part of the initial grab that I'd use to sort of get a hold of them. And as I said earlier, if he's more than 2 size categories more than me, I'm automatically failing. Now, again, also, if I would fail the check, I've lost a hold of them. I had managed to grab them. I didn't hold on to them. That's what the failure here would be. So then you have to maintain it. You have to pretty much hold on, which each round you have to continue to hold on to that grapple and make checks to see if you're holding on. You could possibly do some other actions in there, but you're effectively kind of like gripping onto them and seeing what you can do to them. And this is the time when you try to start pinning them. You would have had to maintain your grab from the previous turn to kind of hold on to them. Now you have to move into the target's square when you do this. This is a free movement that doesn't take up any of your other movement for the turn, but effectively I have to move into the target's square when I'm grappling them. Some kind of square associated with them. I'm holding them close. If I'm unable to do that, the grapple breaks and automatically fails. Now, there are some disadvantages and advantages you get when grappling. First off, the thing is you don't provoke attacks of opportunity when you're grappling. You no longer threaten. You're grappling. The two of you are holding each other. Also, you actually lose your dex bonus to your defense, except versus the other persons you're grappling. So we're holding on to each other. We technically have dex bonus against each other. Everybody else, we're free attacks against us. And then the two of us can't move, really. We're holding on to each other, we're keeping each other at bay, preventing ourselves from moving. Now, as I said, there are a number of actions you can take when you're holding on to someone. The first off is doing unarmed damage to them, basically getting a punch in on them when I'm kind of holding on to them. That's the basic one. As I've made my check, I do it. The next time is holding on to them, just continuing to grab them. You just make a check. The person that's being held can, of course, attempt a grapple check to reverse it to basically escape from you, or can attempt an escape artist to do so, but this takes up their attack action, and they would only have a move in order to get away from you then. So effectively they try to like wriggle out of you, or to like sort of counter your grapple with their own grapple to escape from your grip. Now, if you manage to pin someone, which is another thing you can do, you can maintain the grapple and choose to pin. You're holding them immobile. You're putting them in a position where now they have -4 to their defenses against everyone else, because you're basically holding them still and leaving them open for your buddies to beat on them if you really wanted to. But they could also try to escape from that. That's an action that someone that is pinned could do. They can make a grapple attempt, or again an escape artist attempt, just the same as before. But if they succeed on this, they don't escape the pin, they escape the pin into a grapple. So they basically reduce it by 1 level. You increase it by 1 level, they reduce it by 1 level in hopes to finally escape. But again, you can only really attempt this once a turn because it's your attack act. It's also important to note when someone is pinned, they can't attack. All they can do is try to escape. That's the only action they could do. Now, another action you can do as part of the grappling is attack someone with a light weapon, or draw a light weapon. It's important to note that you can draw a light weapon also as part of this here. You can like draw a dagger and try to stab someone with a dagger. You can't use 2 weapons. You can still use the one. You sort of have to like still hold on to someone and try to shank them as you're grappling them. But that's basically what you're going to be doing. So, now, you can also join other people's grapples. You can either, we're talking about, holding someone, pinning them down so they can't escape. They can only try to escape from you. But other people can join in on the grapple on either side. Now, when I'm joining in, I can choose which opponent I'm going to be targeting. That's the first thing. I don't provoke an attack of opportunity if I'm joining this grapple. And I don't have to make my sort of grab attempt. I can automatically grab. I still need to make the opposed attempt to hold on to someone, and I could still fail that way. But basically, I can leap in there and just grab someone very easily. They can't do anything about it. And as I said, if there are multiple opponents that I'm trying to grab one of, I can choose which one that I'm trying to actually grab at. Now, with multiple opponents, regardless if you're jumping in on one side or you're being jumped in by multiple people, only 4 can target a creature. So basically, let's say I'm here, 4 people can target me. If someone is smaller than me, they count as half a person for seeing how many can sort of jump in on me in the grapple. If they're larger on me, 2. If they are more than 2 size categories larger than me, 4. So a creature more than 2 size categories larger than me could only grab me by themselves. They couldn't get any help to do that. Now, if I'm trying to, let's say, escape from a grapple where multiple people are carrying me, I choose one of them and I make my grapple attempt to escape from them, and I would then get out of the grapple. On the other hand, if I'm using Escape Artist, I roll once and compare it to everyone else, and then see if I can escape with that one. So one way, you're really only targeting one person to sort of push out of the grapple. The other way, you're just trying to escape from everybody at once. So that's it for today. I introduced you to, of course, grabbing an object away from someone and then grappling them. All the various rules of holding on to someone, keeping them still, keeping them under your control, and then pinning them eventually. In the next episode, I'm going to move on and talking about vehicles when it relates to combat. Both their movement and just using them again as an item in combat. So any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel, the Empire, and the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you could always check out my Patreon, link description below. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.